we're talking about the weather, and it's not snowing. Just if you had to have an opinion on it, is that if it snowed, who would that be? Just out of curiosity, who do you think would have the advantage there? If anyone?
I always feel like it's the offense, actually. And this maybe goes back to, I think, the way Brady felt about it, which was if it snows, that means the defensive back's footing is going to be worse, and so they won't be able to react to what they're seeing quickly enough.
Tennessee.
And so that's going to equal points on the board. Tennessee is the best example of it.
58 that day? Something like that?
Is that the October game where it snowed? Yes.
They won like 58.
It was like around Halloween, and it shouldn't have been snowing.
Right.
And I remember being so aggravated because not only did it snow, the Patriots put that amount of points on the board.
It also helped that Tennessee absolutely did not want to be there.
That's true.
I mean, it was
That's pretty early in the season too, to like just not want to be there.
No show. And I remember doing a show with Troop that weekend, probably both days, Saturday and Sunday. And I was kind of back and forth on it. I don't know. And Troop's like, trust me, the Patriots are going to blow doors. Because
let me get back to Twitter.
Wait to see what happens.
The receiver knows where he's going. The defensive backs don't. And he was absolutely right. Now, even he didn't predict I think you're right, Wall. Like it was like 58-3 or something.
I think it was 45-0 at half, if I remember
Brady
correctly.
had like 5 touchdown passes in the second quarter.
Yeah, I remember that game vividly, and I do believe it was around Halloween because I remember going, I can't believe there's this much snow. And then it all went away.
59-0.
Yeah.
What was the date of that?
October 18th,
Good call, Fred.
2009.
Yeah, I remember that because it was like my third year here and thinking, or maybe it was my fourth summer, my third winter, I think. And I remember just thinking, oh, what's going? This sucks. And by the way, it snows in Nashville. I don't know what they're so... I mean, it does. I don't know why that would be so impossible for that team to play in. It's a little odd. All right, Phil, this is the exercise that we're doing. As we talk to a lot of people that are very close to the team, you being one of them. Let's go with how your opinion would change based on result.
Okay.
I think it's fairly obvious that the Patriots win this game in any fashion. It shows that they're far and away the best team, I would believe, in the AFC, and complete team. They're more of a complete team certainly than Denver. And then you would talk about where do they land in the entirety of the NFL, which is a debate I don't want to have. So if they lose in a close game, how does that change your perception of the team? Does it change it at all?
It changes it in that I would start to wonder if, given the amount of time that has elapsed over the course of the season, given that this is the first time this season an opponent will face them twice, I wonder if the Bills start to find some answers that other teams haven't yet been able to find against Drake May in this passing game in particular. Patriots' run game has been really pretty abysmal over the course of the season. They're 29th in success rate, and so that hasn't been doing much for them at all, but everything is driven by Drake May, and if Sean McDermott's able to cook up a plan over the course of the last week that is really able to significantly slow them down, and there might be a few things that he can do based on the numbers the last couple months for this Patriots offense. If he is the one to sort of illuminate those for the rest of Patriots opponents, then that makes me wonder, okay, how are these last 3 games going to go? How's it going to go if they're playing in the wild card round? Is there an answer for this offense in a way that we haven't really seen one be cooked up just yet?
Okay, so you mentioned that you've seen a couple of things over the past weeks that people could exploit.
There are a few numbers when you really dig into it, and it's something we always do over the course of the bye is, what might the Patriots start to see more of? And it gets more interesting when the Patriots are good, the way they are this year, and their passing game in particular. Over the last 2 months, one thing that has given them some problems is tight man-to-man coverage, and specifically cover one. So that's man-to-man across the board and one safety in the middle of the field. And Drake May, when he's actually able to throw the ball, he's been pretty good against that over the course of the last 2 months. This is going back to week 6. He averages almost 10 yards per attempt. But when you look at some of the more advanced numbers, his expected points added, that includes things like sacks or rushing attempts or turnovers, his expected points added is 17th in the NFL against cover one specifically. So it's really hard to find any stat with Drake May this year where he's anywhere outside the top 10. And against this one particular coverage these last 2 months, he's been very average. And so is that something that the Bills, who generally speaking this year are more of a zone team than a man team, but they can play cover one, is that something that they have seen as well? And they say, hey, if we disrupt the timing of these receivers with press coverage on the outside, we might give ourselves a better chance to get to Drake May. His sack rate is super high against cover one. It's behind only Justin Fields and Cam Ward, which isn't necessarily company you want to keep against that specific coverage these last 2 months. So
Is there a lot of data? Like, have a lot of teams played cover one against them? Like, like what I'm saying
it's
is
a good question.
a good statistical, whatever. You
Yeah,
call it.
sample size.
Sample size.
Yeah, what's the
thank you.
sample size? It's not horrible. So over the last 2 months, I think they're up over 50 snaps against cover one. So it's not like a 4 or 5 play sample, and they've just had a couple of wonky plays. And I think the reason why it's not even higher than that is because May is a mobile quarterback. And against mobile quarterbacks, generally speaking, you don't want to play man-to-man. We saw this happen in the Bills game last week where Josh Allen's ripping off a monster run down the field, and there are defensive backs for the Bengals with their backs turned to him. So that's what you want to avoid, which is why they don't see a ton of it. But there are ways around that, too. Like, do you try to spy Drake May so you avoid that situation where everybody's backs are turned and you have somebody who might be able to,
Would that be
to
like
keep him in the
Milano?
pocket? I don't know. I honestly don't know who they would use.
Every time that you watch the Bills and you want them to do poorly, it's always Milano. It's always Milano disrupting everything.
He's been hurt a lot over the last couple of years.
He's healthy. He's healthy now.
The middle linebacker who's seemingly created some real change for that defense, and I think he's really helped their run defense, is Shaq Thompson, who's been around for a while, was at the Panthers for a while. But he started to play a lot more in the middle of that defense, and they've improved. And so, maybe it would be somebody like that.
Okay, now that's if it's what if they lose by more than a touchdown? Which is a lot in the NFL. What if they lose by more than a touchdown? Do you worry? Do you start to worry? Like you said that, like, how you would feel if they lost the game at all, but if Buffalo kind of rolls them, it's decided halfway through the fourth quarter. You haven't seen that this year.
Right.
Would that be concerning to you?
I think so, and I think you'd start to, the conversations would shift in terms of, are they the best team in the AFC? Are they the best team in the NFL? Nationally, even now, a lot of these places have started to give the Patriots a lot of credit, and so does that pop their balloon? If they were to lose by 7 or more, do you start to look at it and say, see, this team was the fraudulent team that a lot of people thought it was? Weeks ago when they were ripping off wins against, the Browns and the Saints and the Titans.
I get the hesitancy to give them, accolade after accolade, even now after the win streak and the record, because it doesn't jump off the screen at you. It's consistent performances from both the offense and the defense. Drake May has had some plays, for sure that should be eye popping, but for the most part, there's not that. They don't have a bunch of marquee moments. And until a few weeks ago, I wouldn't even say that marquee player that stood out above all others to say, well, obviously he is the best or one of the best at the position. They've been doing it not in a boring way, but in such a consistent way that I think people have been slow to give them a ton of credit.
The efficiency they have exhibited against some of these less than opponents has been,
it's another good one.
Has been kind of monotonous. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, every single week they score 23 points or more. Every single week they allow 23 or less. They have not really trailed since that Buffalo game in any of the second halves they've played. Wow. So I believe that's the last time they trailed in the second half was in the third quarter in Buffalo, which was week 5. So they have, I think to their credit, right, they've avoided a lot of those moments or a lot of those situations that would provide those marquee moments that you're talking about. Where's the comeback win? Where's that last second play that everybody remembers and says, wow, this really does feel like a special team? No, it's been a monotonous slog of success. Right? Over the course of the last however many months.
From a narrative standpoint, you were kind of going like maybe they drop one of these, so there's something to talk about this week.
May passing out of that sack in Buffalo is the last one. May almost getting sacked and delivering that big pass to Diggs. I mean, if May gets sacked there, they probably lose the game. So that's the last thing last big play with money play with everything on the line that I can remember.
And again, I give them a lot of credit for that. It means they're taking care of business in a way that they should.
Yeah, but I mean, well, look at Baltimore and look at Kansas City. Those are two teams that can't beat, can't win. Like it doesn't matter. It's a perfect example of it doesn't matter who you beat. You know, that kind of consistency. What, 2 other teams in the NFL have it? Because Denver's winning by the skin of their teeth every week. You know, it's like L.A. and Seattle seem to have things in order.
But even you're willing to give Denver, and I think we have, and nationally, people were willing to give Denver sometimes more credit because their defense would go out there and just stifle everybody and put up a brick wall. And up until the Giants game, the Patriots were allowing teams to march down the field and score a touchdown or at the very least kick a field goal on seemingly every opening drive. So, no, you couldn't point to that as the thing that makes them really, really good, because if the defense were that good, they wouldn't even allow that first score. I mean, and again, they're not bad. They're playing well. Everyone's playing well. Is there anyone playing exceptionally well other than Drake May?
I mean, like I would say somebody like Kayshon Boutte for him, and relative to expectation,
For
is
him,
playing
yes.
is playing really well. Yep, and that's another thing about how this team has succeeded, right? Is they really don't rely on one player outside of Drake May, but one weapon to carry them in any given week. Stephon Diggs, going back over that Bills game from week 5, he had a monster performance, and he had a monster performance a few weeks ago against the Jets on Thursday night. But that one game, that Jets game, has been kind of sandwiched by 4 really kind of quiet games and statistical outputs. And again, that is sort of a reminder to me that you don't really need the quote number one, weapon or receiver to be on his game every single week in order for you to have success, because somebody else will fill in and do really well. And just to your Broncos point, I mean, like one of their signature moments this year, Hardy, was that game in October against the Giants where they had to score 33 points in the fourth quarter to win.
Well, the week before that, they should have lost to the Jets. I mean, I know, Jet fan, but in all honesty, it was a 13-11 game. Justin Fields has a wide-open Garrett Wilson well within Folk, who's missed 1 field goal this year's field goal range at the end of the game. And Fields, has the inability to throw the ball, which is unfortunate for a quarterback. And, so even though it's 13-11, let's just leave it at that. Like Knicks was terrible. So, complete team they are not. The thing about the Broncos is when you have that elite side of the ball, you just see a day where you just can't do anything against it. Like that, the possibility of that.
Sure.
But in terms of a complete team, it's not even, it's a joke. I mean, Bo Nix, basically, if you haven't seen Denver, here's how they win. The game, except for that Giants game, game's really boring. Knicks can't do anything. Then the last drive, he goes nuts. And it's one of these things, Phil, that's interesting about football, and it's interesting about sports, right? The hurry-up offense. Why aren't you always in the hurry-up offense? This quarterback's so good in the hurry-up offense. And, you always have that. Like, they're only good. Like, Bo Nix is only good when there's no governor on him. Like, where he can just freestyle because he has ability to run. When he can improvise, he's good. When he's in a structured offense, he seems to have an inability to function. So at the end of these games, when things are loose and they have to move them, that's how they put up so many points in the fourth quarter against the Giants. Is that he goes? I don't know what the situation is.
Playground football.
That playground football thing, which you can't sustain, obviously, throughout every game of every season, every possession. But that's the way that they win, which makes them so. I mean, they could easily lose in the first round of the playoffs, but with that defense, they could also beat anyone conceivably in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? The AFC is very interesting, but the Patriots, so much more of a complete team.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.